Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got a breakdown and prediction video regarding Jaron Ennis versus Eimantas Stanionis. A cool little fight to look forward to this weekend. It's a unification fight, and of course these type of fights are always welcomed and desired by the fans. You know, two champions fighting, and the winner significantly elevates their status in the division. So yeah, let's get into it. Boots versus Stanionis, a fight predicted to be a good one, where on paper they are both their toughest fight so far in their careers, but I beg to differ, right? I'm gonna just outright say it. I think the way this fight goes completely depends entirely on how Boots wants it to go. All respect to Stanionis, but if Boots really wanted to make this fight look easy, he has the ability to do just that, in my opinion. Stanionis is too traditional. He's your come forward with a static, inactive, high guard type of fighter who really only knows how to fight one way. He is one-dimensional, and he comes in a single gear. You know, he's way too easy to read. He's way too easy to solve. He isn't nearly as complex a puzzle enough for a Jaron Ennis at this point in time. But I will give him credit. He has a higher IQ than most people think. He's good at creating angles and taking advantage of them. He's good at shooting on the pivot, and he has a good jab, and he's a good inside fighter. However, I just don't think that is enough. If he was to beat Boots, he would have to win through his character. Look it, Stanionis is a determined fighter who has a good gas tank and a decent chin, right? I think if it comes down to it, he can potentially outlast and outwork Boots, but that is only if it comes down to it. Now, I mentioned earlier that this fight is really determined by the approach that Boots takes. I believe if he boxes on the outside and picks his shots, I think he bags this fight really easily. Maybe a 9-3 type of fight. He can easily outbox Stanionis, in my opinion. He's too skilled and he's too athletic. But if he allows himself to get into a firefight, then he substantially increases Stanionis' chances of winning. If he chooses to go toe-to-toe with Stanionis, he would allow Stanionis' character and intangibles to be a factor in this fight, and he risks Stanionis outworking him, right? Now that is especially dangerous because I'm probably in the minority here, but I really do think that Jaron, gave Boots a beating in his last fight, and that was only 5 months ago. I thought Boots was concussed for the majority of that fight against Jaron. I mean, let's be honest. Did you guys hear him slur his words in the post-fight interview? His eyes were glossy and he was slurring his words, guys. Boots was damaged in that last fight, I'm telling you guys, and that's probably gonna piss a lot of you guys off, but that's just how I saw it. But I digress. That fight was only 5 months ago, and those Stanionis don't crack like that. I think he has more power than Jaron. So if Boots allows this fight to be tougher than what it should be, well, I wouldn't be surprised if, Stanionis wins. Stanionis doesn't care. He's there to win. If Boots so much as give him a glimpse of hope, Stanionis is going to take that and run with it. He's a fighter from Lithuania, right, where opportunities don't come often. So for him, this fight right here, this is life-changing. He is a hungry young bull. He wants this, right? And I like Boots, but the one thing that I really don't like about his game is that he's too pretty with it. There's moments where he starts to feel himself too much, and he be doing all this extra stuff on defense. I'm not talking about the showboating. The showboating is fine. I love people who showboat. I'm talking about when he admires his work too much, when he slips a punch, for example. Sometimes he would pause and feel himself a little bit, when in that same sequence he could have shot a counter or completely reset, and it's also unnecessary, and there's times when he got hit because of it. So you definitely don't want to be doing all that against someone like Stanionis, who really doesn't care. And I also happen to think that Maestre, Stanionis' previous opponent, was a really good fight for Stanionis to help him get ready for Boots. He was a crafty veteran. Yes, he only had 6 fights at the time, but he was a 2-time Olympian, guys. He was crafty and he came to win. And he had some elements in his game that mirrored Boots. So that was definitely a positive fight for Stanionis going into this fight. But there is another variable in this fight, and it could very well be the quote-unquote X factor, and it's Boots' ability to optimally make the weight properly. It was just in his last fight when he was saying it was about time to go up to 154, and that was right after the fight, which to me means that he was not comfortable cutting down to 147, and he felt it on fight night. He felt it during the fight. Now, people are saying that, well, it must have been the whole IBF rule where you can't rehydrate over 10 pounds after weigh-in, and now that the rule isn't there, he should look a lot better in this fight. Now, me personally, I think both are true. I think that at this point, Boots is killing himself to make 147, but I also think that without the 10-pound rule, he should feel a lot better. So I don't know, it could be one or the other, but let me tell you this: if he really drains his life force, boiling down to 147, then I can really see him losing this fight against a hungry, high volume pressure fighter like Stanionis. I can really see that happening, guys. So let's hope that's not the case for his sake. But with all that being said, my final prediction is a Boots decision win, and I have laid out all of my reasons why. I just think he's too skilled and too athletic, and that's the bottom line. And I think he will fight in a disciplined manner where he will cruise to a unanimous decision victory like he should, right? Again, no disrespect to Stanionis. He's a good fighter, but he's just not dynamic enough for Boots, right? So that's all I really got to say. Who do you have winning this fight? I want to say thank you very much for watching this video, taking time out of your day to watch this video right here. That means a lot to me. So please leave a like and subscribe, and I really hope that you guys have a lovely day.